We're interviewing Rosa Guerrero, but I call you Miss Rosa.
That's fine.
You know, and why don't we start with, because there's just so much that I want to make sure we capture. But why don't we start with a little bit of your family?
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about, on the way over here we were talking about, I think your grandparents and where they're from in Mexico. Can you tell me a little bit about your grandfolks?
Well, my father was from Calvillo, Aguascalientes. My mother was from Toluca, Mexico. My grandparents, her mother and father, was from San Francisco del Rincón, Guanajuato. And they were Chichimeca, Indian. And so my mother was half, and my grandmother was full, and I'm probably a fourth. Yeah. I mean, the genealogy of all us is mixed. We're kind of, that's why we're called Mexican. The mestizaje comes in with Spanish and the Indian, and that's a confluence of who we are. Yeah. So my parents are very different. My mother's family was a very hard-working family, and my father's family was hard-working, but in a different way, a little bit more intellectual, educational, whatever. So my father's family was a little bit more educated, and I learned from both of them. Your parents are your first teachers, and I was born in El Paso, Texas, paseña, pocha, pero no mocha, I tell everybody. And I've been an educator for all my life, a dancer, choreographer, director, artistic director, and consultant, whatever. I've done a lot of stuff.
Yes, I know.
And taught children from 2 years old to 100 years old.
So, you know, when we were talking, I thought that was so fun. You've been dancing, and we're going to get into baile folclórico in a little bit, but you've been dancing a long, long time.
Yes.
And how long have you been dancing?
You know, officially, I was dancing in my mother's womb.
Yes.
Okay, officially, because my mother and father were party animals. They really were.
Yeah.
Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua was one of the most beautiful cities in northern Mexico. The safest, most beautiful. The nightclubs were family nightclubs, and they brought in entertainment from all over the world, live music, 12 and 16-piece orchestras. Every musician knew how to play a different instrument. They brought singers, dancers, pianists, violinists, all kinds. I learned live entertainment right next to me. Everybody danced. When they went to Juárez, all the professionals from El Paso, doctors, lawyers, teachers, directors, whoever, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Juárez was beautiful. And so I grew up with that environment and learned how to dance very young in my mother's womb, and then when I was born in my father's arms, because I was a little baby, and then when I started to not be able to walk, I used to get my foot on each of my father's feet, and then dance, and feel the polka or the waltz or the schottish or the Varsuvian. We danced all because, you know, when you went to Juárez, it was paso dobles, rumbas, danzones, swing, whatever the music was in that era. Our music nowadays is not really good music. Yeah. It's loud, and people like to hear loud, but you have to have a nice, quiet, soft ballad, a nice waltz, variation. People were very, very open to different types of music of the time, and everybody danced. The kids nowadays, all they go is just move their body, and they think they're dancing, but they're not. They don't have any familiarity with social dance positions. And I learned that with my parents, and then I taught it so many years. And then so at 4 years old, I was on my own. I was doing improvisations, choreography, doing my own stuff. And then in kindergarten, I did my debut for the 8th graders who were going to graduate. I did a little dance that the
Wait. When you were in kindergarten or when you were in 8th grade?
No, when I was in kindergarten, and I danced with the little kids, the kindergarten kids, for the 8th graders who were going to graduate. And Miss French, at the time, she dressed all the children. This is 1939, 1940.
Wow.
This is yesterday.
Yeah.
To some people, the day before.
Yeah.
But this, I can remember, because my mind was very clear, still clear.
Oh, I know.
And these kids nowadays do not remember who their principal was, who their teacher was, and I can go back all these years and remember all my teachers and stuff. And so it was wonderful. The beautiful way that my parents knew that I wanted dance. So at 6 years old, I started my dance lessons. And at 7 and 8, I was already performing. But not the dances that they taught me. They taught me las chapanecas, they taught me la jota aragonesa, they taught me all these dances from Spain and from Mexico, Hungarian dances. But I did my own interpretation of Carmen Miranda and the rumba and the conga, which was very popular at the time. And I used to perform for the soldiers at Fort Bliss during the 40s, during the Second World War, which was a beautiful thing. And then my dance academy would bring in the performance. And the VFW group that my mother was involved with, Ladies Auxiliary and the Men's Auxiliary, it was called Marcos B. Armijo, the first Mexican-American group in the United States to have a VFW group. And it was these older people, these elders that are all gone now, including my mother, and they would bring in cigarettes for soldiers. Cigarettes was something that was very popular. The moment that a boy was in the armed forces, what did the Army do? Give him a carton of cigarettes. The Army, the Navy, the Marines, whoever. I mean, they didn't know about the lungs and all of that until afterwards, and so we're kind of slow on that. But anyway, we would perform for all the soldiers, USO, the Red Cross, at William Bowman Army Hospital, and we were kind of like the Mexican-American Bob Hope show. So we did that. I wish I could connect with some of the girls that performed. I was the youngest of all.
How old were you, more or less? During that?
7, 8 years old. The war started 1941, but they already had some troops at Fort Bliss. And then it got to be the biggest military installation in the world. All you saw downtown El Paso was nothing but khaki. And the Bachucos and the Second War kids used to call them los sardos, los soldados,
Yeah.
because they were like sardines. Always together, 3 or 4 soldiers together, 3 or 4 soldiers, like sardines, all khaki. And Juarez was exploding with our armed forces and our people because it was free and it was safe. It's not safe anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you were so that was like really young when we talk about your dancing. How about baile folklórico? I mean, I and maybe somewhere in this interview I should share. I mean, my mom used to talk about you because I think somewhere along the way you did some little dance thing where she learned some baile folklórico from you.
Yeah.
So I think you did some training or something with some older ladies.
Yes.
So that was like my first connection with you, but our true first connection was when you came and spoke at a conference that when I was at UTEP. Yeah. And I'll never, I don't want to forget that we're talking about, I want to get into baile folklórico, but I also, well, maybe I'll share a little bit of a deeper connection on the spirituality piece. But I want to get back to baile folklórico because I want to learn, or I want to make sure that we capture some of your story on how did baile folklórico and the group that you founded start, and when did that happen in your life? Were you already in college? Were you in high school? Or when did baile folklórico start with you?
Well, it started very young. We used to call it bailes regionales mexicanos. The word folklórico did not come in till about 65 years ago with Amalia Hernandez in Mexico City.
And what years are we talking about? What year?
And then later on in the 70s, that's when I started the folklóricos in the high school. Burgess High School was my first school to have folklórico. Then Dr. Ángel de los Santos from Community College asked me to do their folklórico for the community college. So I was doing, little things at community college. So that was also my folklórico, but Burgess High School was my first folklórico. We were not really very organized and all that because the curriculum did not particularly care for folklórico.
Right.
They didn't care for the Mexican culture. They didn't care for our history. I came in as the intercultural person in 1970 when I left Austin High School. And so I thought that the kids in El Paso were living in limbo. One step in Mexico, one step in the United States, and the Rio Grande between the legs. They didn't know how to speak English, they didn't know how to speak Spanish. It's still happening now. It is still happening now, and it's unfortunate because they didn't know their culture. So that's why I wanted to form the folklórico. Not just for the dancing, the music and all that, for their own personal identity. I was kind of ahead of my time because I saw there's racism everywhere. Whether it's the schools or any type of format that you have, whether it's a job or whatever, there's discrimination. For women, for the younger people, for older people, for black, white, or brown, whatever the color. And they didn't let me really open up the folklórico to the schools, and they told me that we were on the border and we were too close to Mexico. We didn't need it. We needed it. The border needs a folklórico. New Mexico needs a folklórico. California, everybody needs it. They need the mariachis, rondallas. They need the values of who we are, what we are. The perimeters of all cultures are very important, which the schools never taught. So I used to come to New Mexico a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, and to Las Cruces for Head Start, for the migrant program, for bilingual education. At the University of Las Cruces, I also was in New Mexico a lot with a lot of conferences, and in Santa Rosa, and little towns that people don't even know about. But everybody needs some form of identity, and I thought I could teach the kids their own dance, music, culture, but I would bring in a lot into that. The whole picture. What is missing in the curriculum, I would try to put it there. And so I worked with 3,000 kids per week. I was young, I was full of energy, I was full of love and harmony, and I wanted to bring all cultures together in a tapestry of love. And here we have a little dog that's beautiful, that needs to be on the tree.
Yeah.
We can connect him to the very top. But I think there was so much need. Now, the schools in El Paso have folklóricos. More so in Socorro, more so in Clint and Isleta. El Paso is still very behind.
Yeah. That's true in so many different ways. But tell me about the Baile Folklórico group. When did that actually start?
That started also in the 70s, and I started at St. Joseph's Church. Father Finnegan let me have the gym, and it was the cafetorium, and to practice, and he wouldn't charge me, and I was teaching, so I didn't charge the people. And we had a basket. If they wanted to donate anything, that's fine. I would give it back to the church. And Father Finnegan says, we don't need it. So then I give it to the seminary. If somebody needs it, I mean, we have poverty in this world, constant poverty. So whatever I collected, because I was getting my salary from teaching, but I did this extra.
You know, a little while ago we were talking about dancing, and you're saying about in today's music or today's dance and how they dance today. I have a lot of fun talking with Esmeralda, my daughter, and I said the best music was in the 70s, because that was like my time. And people who are younger than me, so the best music was in the 80s, and then even younger, well, the best music was in the 90s. I mean, people always say the best music was at their time, but music for you has been a wide range of time and periods. You have performed, and so once the Baile Folklorico group moved on, but you have performed in many, many places. Can you just like tell me a little bit or share a little bit about where you've performed and what places you've performed?
Well, I personally went all over the United States by myself. Sometimes I would take my folklorico to Tennessee, sometimes to different states that they would ask. My folklorico I was real proud of it. It's RosaInterview Ballet Folklorico. We call it Ballet Folklorico, and I was inclusive of other cultures too. I wanted my kids to know other cultures, but definitely the cultures and the regions of Mexico. I would bring in consultants from Jalisco, from Chihuahua, from Nuevo León to really master the steps, because I just knew so much. I mean, a mind knows, thinks they know all music. No, we just know one part of music. Mexican music, Spanish music, Latin American music, the genres that are different. But I love music. I was raised with music, and the old Victrolas. I remember my kindergarten teacher winding up the old phonograph Victrolas. My grandson can't believe it because he's up there with technology. You know, the technology is so hot, I don't understand it. People my age, the technology, they don't even want to touch a computer. I did because it would help me personally, and I could store all my little stories and songs and poems and stuff that I've done. I could email and get information. I don't do social network because I don't care for that. That's not my thing. Some people want to be on that's their thing, but not me. I like to read. I like to pray. Now that I cannot dance anymore, I have really tried to get my act together. What is in store for me now that I'm a senior citizen? I can go back and just remember my folklorico performing. We were the first folklorico to dance at the Kennedy Center, 1991, and that's something beautiful. 1992, we were the first folklorico to dance for the CIA. That's not Chicanos in Action. That's the CIA. And Robert Gates was the director. He was later on Secretary of Defense. And he gave me a tour around the whole thing. And then when we went in to perform, he and I walked this ramp, and everybody stood up like he was the big honcho, which he was. And I got to give him a basket full of chiles and tortillas and all of that. I put a poncho and a zarape on him and a sombrero. And I said, "You are the director of the CIA." I said, "But I'm director of CIA in El Paso." And I told him, I said, "It's Chicanos in Action." And then all of a sudden I had the audience here. And then because they were tight. You know, you have to work with your audience and you have to know what they're all about and all that. These were very high profile people from all over the world that worked for the CIA. It was an honor to perform there, an honor to have my students perform at the Chamizal many, many times, an honor to perform always freebies for the churches. Bazaars, year after year, you know, people would call me or anything. And we were non-profit, so we always had enchilada suppers and always making money. Always making money. And I think the most important thing that we know and should know is that there's folkloricos everywhere.
No, there is.
There's a lot of my students now that are directors that started with me. And I'm very proud of that.
No,
because a teacher molds, and that child grows and molds and also spreads the seed. Archbishop Flores from San Antonio, Texas used to tell me, what you're doing with your folklorico is hard because it's something new. Anything new is difficult. He said, but all you have to do is plant that seed and it's going to grow. And that's what it's done. Grow, grow, grow all over. From Fabens all the way to Las Cruces. Folclóricos everywhere. And I see all these little kids and all these dancers, and it's wonderful. Your mother, your beautiful mother, I met her probably with the senior citizens. I was the first one that started folklorico with the senior citizens. Everybody needs folklorico. Come here, let me hold you. Come here, let me hold you. Let me hold my little baby. Come here, Titito, Botito. Us, let me hold a baby. Right here. I love animals. She knows. You know, yes. I'm your madrina, okay?
Yeah.
I'm your madrina, your godmother. Anyway, I think folklóricos are good. Mariachis are good. Our culture is good. But that's not just the world. We need to get out of there and network to know waltzes, polkas, mazurkas. And what my job was to teach and educate other teachers that where the polka came from, where did the waltz come from, why do we get folklorico, where are the regional dances from in Mexico, how did the zapateado start? It's very important to have the zapateado because it's the footwork that came from Spain. Where did the Spaniards get it from? And that's what I went into. I went to the research and not just the performing, but why the dances were evolving and how they evolved.
You know something interesting, now that I've been in New Mexico for a number of years, I mean, as you know, from El Paso, then I went to college in Austin, Texas, and there they would, besides country music, there was also a lot of what was called Tejano music, which is like a polka moving into like a Tejano step. And then coming to New Mexico, it was really funny when a number of my friends said, yeah, they're playing New Mexico music. And then when I listened to it, it was in my ear a Tejano type music, and then also cumbia type music. That was very similar to what I've heard in Texas all the time, but they're calling it New Mexico. So there's the polka has I guess variations. Even in the United States, depending on the regions.
Yeah, the polka came from Bohemia, part of Czechoslovakia, and then when it came to Texas, we had more ethnic groups in Texas with a Czech, with a German, with a Polish, and they all came with their music and their instruments. And that's why their music was different. Then when the Tejano saw that music, he embraced it, he loved it, and added his own style. Then in the Rio Grande Valley, they have their own style. They have the little tacuachito, they call it tacuachito. A tacuache is an animal that is in Texas, it's very colloquial. What is the animal that's in Texas that people run over on the freeways all the time? Pobrecitos, los tacuache, un tacuache. I can't remember now.
That's not a grasshopper?
No. It's a big animal. It's a little animal that it's a tacuache. I can't remember. This is senior citizen moments that come in, and junior moments too come in. And you're beautiful. I love you. And I think the style, the music, they added it from so many instruments and variations, and the way of dancing. New Mexico has had their own style.
Yeah, like Little Joe y la Familia.
Yeah.
I would call that Tejano.
Yes,
music,
I met Little Joe. I met Little Joe several times.
And they also call it a corrida, no?
Corrido. Some people corrida, some people corrido. And if somebody's changing you, que correctón, que corrida. But you see, it's different. It's still from the polka.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
From the polka, it came in. And that is everywhere.
Yeah.
You go to California and they're playing it. You go to Arizona, they're playing it. But New Mexico has had their own style. Because I remember going to a wedding in Santa Fe, and they had the marcha, which goes back many years, and it has their little dances that the oldest people did that Texas never did. New Mexico has had their own style, their own way, even their language.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the language is archaic, Spanish. which is very different from the Spanish we have here on the border. On the border we have, I call it Pachuquismo, Pochismo, border lingo. I call it also Spanglish,
Yeah.
and I call it Hispanics. That's my word.
Yeah.
Someday it's going to be in the dictionary. Hispanics is a way of talking English, Spanish, mixing the words, and not knowing what you're doing.
You know, it's so funny. I think so because growing up on the border, and in my neighborhood, everybody spoke Spanish. Actually, a lot of the neighborhood
Yes.
kids, the family spoke Spanish. Predominantly Mexicanos,
Yes.
Latinos, and even in my high school at Jefferson. This is so interesting. The white students at Jeff and the black students spoke Spanish. So I grew up. So for me, the culture of where I grew up is there was incredible diversity, at least in that limited way, and people embraced language like Spanish, and it was not a surprise. Like it was sort of like a given. So for me, that was like an interesting thing. But right now, you talk about what do you call it,
Pachuquismo.
Pachuquismo.
Is from the Pachuco movement. El Paso is called El Chuco.
El Chuco.
And so the people will say, vamos al Chuco.
Así es.
And vamos a Los. Los was Los Ángeles. Vamos a Los. Ese vato. Vamos a Los. Vengo del Chuco. Voy con la ruca y la jefa y la jaina. You know, these are all words, Pachuquismo words, and which I was involved with because linguistics is forever a part of who you are.
And when I lived in Austin a little bit, I remember telling a friend that how much I missed home, and I said, Chante, hijo, quiero regresar a Chante, and he goes, what's Chante? So even slang along the border varies. So if you go down all the way to Brownsville, which is where my friend was, even slang varied there. The border slang varied.
Yeah, they call they call the kids different things. Chamaco, niño, they call them a huerco in the Rio Grande Valley. And when I was in college in Denton 1,000 years ago, when I heard the girls calling, ese huerco, quien sabe qué, I said, and I thought they were talking about puerco, pig. No, huerco is a boy, a girl, a lad. And that's from the Rio Grande Valley. The Rio Grande Valley has their own colloquialism. There's valleys everywhere. It's San Luis Valley in Colorado, and you have your valley here in Nuevo Mexico. But you know, Pachuquismo, Pochismo, all of that has been going on for years and years and years. I was very interested in the kids, why they're talking like that. How come they're talking like that? It's survival. A kid in the barrio has those survival skills. You said chante came from chanty, from England. My chanty, in the chanty town in England. And if you trace each word, there's a reason.
There's where it came from.
There's a reason.
What about tablitas?
Tablitas son los zapatos. I don't know why they call them tablitas.
I heard that it was because at the bottom, at one point, the bottom was actually wood.
Well, it could be. It could be. It's wood, and for the Dutch, it's got to be wood. But it's a different el tacuchi, the way you dress and all that. It's colloquialism of the barrio. But there's my father used to be very strong on saying you are to speak just Spanish. Don't mix it. Your brain should be intelligent enough to know the difference. Do not mix it. And then he says, ¿Qué es eso? He used to say, cuidado con los frijoles because se queman, honey. And I said, I used to listen to him. He said, ay, papa, when I mix it, I said, se me forgot. And I said, if se me forgot, I would mix it too. But I said, you know, but I got kind of snotty because I knew Spanish so well that we would conjugate our verbs at home for fun. This was a fun lesson. We didn't have televisions. We didn't have anything like that. The radio was the only instrument that we had. And the radio was the only audio that we had. We could do things while the radio was playing, where these kids cannot. They have to be addicted, and adults too, addicted to the technology, which is very bad because there's no social interaction, there's no growth, there's no reading and writing skills, there's nothing academia about it. And if you ask a child, so and so, let me look it up. That's fine to look it up. It's encyclopedia, Wikipedia, whatever they call it. But no, our world was different. And you say the music of the 70s, to me music of the 70s when I was teaching, and they say the music of the 60s, during the hippies and all that. I say music of the 40s, because I grew up in the 40s, and my granddaughter says, Grandma, that's prehistoric. Well, to some people we are prehistoric, but I feel the spirit of a human being is always young, always beautiful, always young. The spirit never dies. El corazón nunca se muere. It's a muscle. The heart is a muscle, it's a hard muscle, and it never wrinkles. The skin may wrinkle, but the heart never wrinkles. And the heart and the spirit of a person never dies. The body withers. Your knees, your back, your shoulders, everything hurts. And when you get arthritis and all that, and you get all kinds of itises, and I call it, you get pendejitis with all of these, in Spanish and in English, I call it pendejitis, and in Spanish, pendejitis.
Yeah.
Porque los itis, everybody has itis. And so I said, oiga, no me traigas tus itis aquí. So I make little words like that. But that's okay. I lived a beautiful life. A beautiful life.
I think it's funny when you talk about the words, porque yo digo que cuando hablo español siempre invento palabras. Like I invent words, but I think over the years I've heard you invent thousands of words, like pendejitis just now. I love that. One other thing I wanted to ask of you, one thing, so another time, at least in my life, when I experienced that health issue, I had that tumor.
Yes.
And I was having the surgery in San Francisco, and I called you because one thing that I've always loved about knowing you, Miss Rosa, and is not only the friendship but the love and the spirituality. And I think that at the end of the day, so when I called from San Francisco and I said, Ms. Rosa, I'm about to go into surgery, do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And then you sent a prayer over the phone, which was very powerful for me. But can you speak just a little bit about your spirituality, and that goes beyond like religion, let's say.
Yes.
But just, can you just share a little bit about it?
Yes. I grew up Catholic. Mm-hmm. My parents were not the best Catholic people in the world. My mother had posadas for over 60 years, which was our connection to Christmas. Mm-hmm. Before we had a Christmas tree, we had the manger, el nacimiento, mm-hmm. way before. And because from the 16th to the 24th was las posadas. So I grew up with that. My mother did not know the foundations of religion and theology and all of that. My son, Roland, went to the seminary. He taught me many things. My friends, Ann Stevenson, took me to a retreat to Mesilla, where I got connected and had a general confession. I'd never even known what a retreat was because I didn't go to Catholic school. But we're so vague in knowing religion. All kinds of religions are important. Every religion is important and beautiful. And every culture is important and beautiful. But then my connection to the Lord, especially now as an elder, it's so close to God to wear a cross and be proud of that. And be proud of the Holy Spirit coming in my heart. Father Richard Thomas had a heck of a lot to do with that in the 70s when I was having a lot of problems with racism in El Paso as intercultural person for the schools, and it was very difficult because some of those teachers and principals were hard, very hard, and I had to shut my mouth and keep quiet and go. And some of these kids don't know how to do that. They don't have the patience, they don't have the tolerance, they don't have the knowledge to. Patience is a virtue, silence is a virtue. And I think I have learned that silence is a fruit of tranquility. And that's an Arabic proverb. And I go farther, I say tranquility is a fruit of peace. And peace is a fruit of love. And love is a fruit of Tata Dios. Mm-hmm. Tata Dios is our most beautiful, omnipotent creator of all, in all cultures, in all religions. He is numero uno. Mm-hmm. And so I've gotten to be closer to him. I lost my husband 2.5 years ago. I live by myself with my dogs and 2 cats and a lot of cats outside that are feral cats that I feed because I feel sorry for them. And I love animals. Look at this little one. Mm-hmm. He's with me so nicely because he knows, animals know who loves them, who treats them well. Mm-hmm. And we need to treat each other beautifully. I think religion and spirituality are 2 different things. My religion came very, very deep, but I don't push it on anybody. My spirituality is very, very deep. I kind of push it in a different way. In happiness, in joy, in living, in teaching cultures, the differences of each other, why we're different and why we're beautiful. I teach it in a different way because we learn from teaching. And every day is a teaching situation. Teachers learn every day and students learn every day. And we learn from the students too. We learn from everybody. I think we're very close-minded sometimes when we don't want to expand our knowledge and we don't want to really expand and learn. But there's so much to learn.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Rosa, one thing, as we were talking about your history and some of your family, one story you told me once, I want to make sure that we capture it, has to do with chocolates. Oh. And I have, that story resonates with me just because life wasn't easy for me growing up in so many different ways. But I wonder if you could share that story that you told me about chocolates.
Oh yes. Life is not easy for many people. Life is very, very, very difficult. All these immigrants that are coming from all over. Mm-hmm. How sad for children to be with their parents dying and in the desert and dying. Here we are, very cold now in the Southwest. It gets cold during this season of Christmas, but I remember sitting with my sister-in-law during the 40s. This is the 40s. My brother her husband was overseas, and to have a chocolate or a fruit or something was a miracle, a delight, mm-hmm. Something out of the ordinary. Where kids nowadays can just go to the store and buy whatever they want. During the Depression we couldn't do that, and during the war we couldn't do that. Everything was rationed, especially chocolate. Chocolates were rationed, and we would play this game called the dream game of chocolates. We would dream of a big chocolate Whitman's box. And the box was just big and beautiful with chocolates, a variety of sorted kinds. And it was so delicious. In our minds, we would dream it. And then my sister-in-law would say, do you remember that one corner of the chocolate? Let's pretend that we open the box and here's this chocolate. And then I said, I'm going to put it in my mouth, she said, and I'm going to taste it. Oh, coconut. Oh, I love coconut. Oh. And then I said, I'm going to taste the one on this corner. Oh, my goodness, it's got peanuts and it's got nuts, and it's chewy and delicious. Oh, let's go to the middle. And we would pretend, because we didn't have the money to go buy chocolates. We didn't have the money it was a luxury. With 5 cents, if you were lucky to have 5 cents, you would get a little bag with 2 little chocolates, 2 little peppermint sticks, 2 little candy bars, 2 Snickers, 2 Musketeers, 2 whatever. And then you come out with a little bag with 5 cents full, and you were rich. But we had 5 cents. You know, if you babysat, sometimes they would give me for the day 25 cents. And then I would go to the drugstore with 25 cents. I said, oh, I'm going to get me one of those. And I could see a picture. It could be an ice cream soda. It could be a sundae. And I asked the lady, can I have that there? What's the name of it? I couldn't read. She said, that's a sundae. Can I have it on Saturday? And she said, pendeja. She called me pendeja. And I said, why did she call me that? Because I didn't understand it. But I remember that she calling me pendeja. I said, maybe I am pendeja. I said, I don't know what Sunday is. But she gave me a sundae. It was a chocolate sundae with a little vanilla and the chocolate syrup. And it cost 12 cents. Would you believe? And I had 12 cents left in my pocket for other things. Oh, I'll give it to my mother, because we always supposed to divide. If we earn something, we must give it to our loved ones. Mm-hmm. And if I earn 25 cents, I'll give 12 cents to my mother, because I'm going to eat the sundae for 12 cents. And that was it. It was just, life was very different. When you're poor, there's different types of poverty.
Yeah.
You grew up in a different world, Frank, where your poverty was different from my poverty. But there's poverty much more so than ours, yours and mine. In Brasilia, in India, in different parts of the world, where a glass of water is a luxury. An apple is a luxury. And we take it for granted here. We're such a spoiled nation, very spoiled. We don't appreciate it, we don't love it, we don't embrace it. Every drop of water that we drink is a gift from God. And these kids, all they want is soda, 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 pizza, 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 hamburgers. Eat your soup, eat your carnitas, eat your caldito, eat what grandma loves. And I said, when grandma dies, history dies. When a grandfather, mother died, history dies. So we need to love our grandparents and record them and talk to them. I tell the kids and the people, leave all your gadgets at home and talk to your loved ones.
Yeah, no, it's so true. They named the school after you. I'm wondering how you feel about having a school named after you.
You know, it's been 26 years that Rosa Guerrero Elementary School was opened. I still can't believe it. Here it is so many years afterwards. And they didn't want, the school board did not want me to have the name, 2 of the people's. Because a person that's alive and you have your school, you can sin. You can commit errors.
Afterwards.
You can do so many things. So every day I pray, let me be good, Jesus. Let me be good, God. Let me be good, so I can prove to these people that I'm not bad. Especially being Latina. My goodness, all eyes are on you. I have to prove to them that I'm pretty good.
Do you remember once, where was it that you and I were sitting and well, we were sitting, there was some bizcochos and stuff on the table, and then you said, Frank, you know, when you become well known, you have to behave.
You have to behave. All eyes are on you. You're like a fish in a bowl. Everybody's seeing you. So I have to behave. And one of the persons says, let's wait till Rosa dies. She'll be worth more. I remember that one of the persons telling me that they didn't care for me to be, but I proved to them that, then I go back to the school. I used to dance for them. Now I go this year, and last year I went as a Grinch. And the little children just looked at me, the pre-kinders and first grade. They wanted to touch me. They just were so excited. I get excited when they see the children. I get energy from them. They get energy from me. I get energy from you, Frank. We need this beautiful energy of love, energy of joy, energy of sharing, energy of learning, energy with Christmas music. You know, it was a lot of fun, and I danced with him, and I taught him, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun. And this one, like this, would go 1, 2, 3, clap, 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 side, 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 side. See, the little doggy knows. And the children followed me. The children followed me, and they were just adorable. So I go and talk to them, and the 5th graders are going to leave for the 6th graders, for the 6th grade in middle school. So I go and tell them, you're now going to go to another school. Choose your friends wisely. And this is when all your dichos come in. Your dichos are evangelios chiquitos. Saint Ignatius de Loyola. San Ignacio de Loyola says, los dichos de los viejitos son evangelios chiquitos. That means the sayings and refrains from the elders are nothing but Bible truth.
Yeah.
You go back through the Bible, go to the wonderful Bible, go to the wonderful parables, and then there it is, the Proverbs, dice. And I used to tell the kids, the 5th graders, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Choose your friends wisely. If you go around with a dirty dog, you're going to pick up fleas. So choose your friends wisely.
That's a good dicho.
Yes, I love that dicho. That's one of my favorite. So I tell the kids, remember what your mother told you. Choose your friends wisely. There's a lot of bad kids out there. There's a lot of good.
Yeah.
You have a decision. You get on this road or this railroad and don't step out. If you step out, you commit a fault, get back on. So I'm very proud that at Rosa Guerrero Elementary School was made for me. I don't know how long I'm going to live. Like I told you, I have lived longer than I have lived, the years that I have lived. And so I want to be still productive. Make videotapes, so people can see me. When I'm gone, they'll say, oh, I remember Rosa Guerrero. I remember the people coming here. Some of the people here all remember me. You have a beautiful man by the name of, and he's from Mesilla, if I'm not mistaken. He worked with the school and educational system for years and years and years and years. And he had a home that was, I think it's turned into a museum in La Mesa, in Mesilla, I don't know. I can't remember his name now. But he was a beautiful man. He invited me to come and give some of mine. Come, Rosa, they need some of your food for thought. They need some of your dichos, they need some of your chispa. They call it in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, where this lady says, Señora, usted tiene mucha chispa. And I said, what chispa? You know, a lot of guts, a lot of energy, a lot of spark.
Yeah.
Pura chispa. Y nos da esa chispa al corazón. She was an elder woman. And this is about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 45, 50 years. I was just going around all over the United States, and I learned a lot. I learned from these beautiful people. New Mexico has always been one of my favorite places. Yeah. Because of the people. Even though some of the people say, I'm Spanish. I said, I'm Mexican. Well, I'm Spanish. I said, how much Spanish are you? Well, and some of them can go back 21 generations. They are Spaniards, but some are not. Yeah. Some we have the mestizaje.
Yeah. That's a pocket in
yes,
Mexico. Ms. Rosa, we're getting close to time, but you've lived a long life. And I have to say, just, you know, I feel like you've touched a lot of people's lives. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands multiplied, not only in this region, which would be El Paso, Las Cruces, but even throughout the country, and people who've left, who knew you here, and then they've moved on to other places, still think about you and talk about you. And I'm so fortunate and blessed to have known you for as many years, and I feel like I just, every time that we get together, I have to say, we laugh. You make me laugh with your jokes, your dichos, your invented words. and stories, and I've loved them all over the years. But I wonder, is there anything you want to share last? I'm going to look at this recording years from now, but I wonder if there's anything else you want to share.
Well, I think the world needs a lot of love, a lot of peace, a lot of this energy you're talking about. We need to really connect. Our world and Mother Earth is suffering right now because we're killing our Mother Earth. The water that we drink, what we smell and all that, it's just, and our little animals are suffering. All the climate, even our desert is suffering. We need to really take a good look at who we are, what we're doing here on Earth, and where are we going to go. We need to look at what is Mother Earth about. Why do we need to take care of it? We need to be tremendous people, resources that maybe 10, 15 years, kids aren't even going to know what a polar bear is and all that. And I have a prayer that I say to the animals: land and sea and air, bless our animals everywhere, especially the penguin and the polar bear. I mean, we're just, our whole ice is melting, and what's going to happen to these little animals? And then our children, they're not even know. We have had extinction of animals because of greed. We need to get greed out of the way and put love, put peace, put respect for ourselves, for others, and our world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. President.
Thank you, Frank.